Hey guys, Chris here. In today's video, we're going to compare two of the most popular luxury mid-size SUVs on the market today. Two cars that, well, a lot of people are cross-shopping when they are looking at a family hauler or a luxury SUV. But before we hop into today's topic, be sure to subscribe to the channel, click that subscribe button down there below. I'm really trying to hit that 10,000 subscriber mark before the summer is over. And as much as 92% of you guys are watching aren't subscribed. So subscribing really does support the channel a lot and really does, mean the world to me. And also, if you aren't following me on Instagram, click the description, or rather click the link in the description down below. So today's topic is the Volvo XC90 versus the BMW X5, and as per usual, I have notes here on my screen that I'm gonna read from. So the Volvo XC90 starts with the Momentum T5 front wheel drive trim and starts at $48,000, but we're not gonna compare base cars today, because, well, we want to do a as close to apples comparison. So what we're going to go for is the R Design T6 all-wheel drive, which starts at $62,000. So that gives you the R Design exterior package, gives you sporty front and rear bumpers, and it gives you also black details on the grille and around the windows. The R Design also gives you 20-inch wheels, perforated Nappa leather, lane keep aid, and the Harman Kardon sound system. That's standard. The T6 gives you the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo and supercharged motor with 316 horsepower, meaning 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds. The car I've built is a white colored car. I've also added the advanced package for $24.50, giving you the head-up display, LED Thorshammer headlights, 360 camera, and headlights washers. I've also added the air suspension for $1,800, giving this car a total price of $67,000. And this is a car which has a lot of standard equipment. You have the Pilot Assist as standard, you have 4-zone climate, you have, panoramic sunroof, you have power passenger and driver seats. This car is just packed to the brim with, equipment at this point. So for $67,000, you get a very highly spec'd luxury SUV. So if we move over to the BMW X5, this starts at a much higher price. It starts at $59,000. That's for the S-Drive 40i. So you get that 3-liter 6-cylinder engine as standard. That's why the price delta is $10,000 compared to the front-wheel drive T5, which only has 250 horsepower. So what we're going to spec today is an X5 X-Drive 40i. Starts at $61,000. That gives you that 3-liter straight-six engine with 335 horsepower, so 19 horsepower more than the T6 XC90, and a much more superior 0 to 60 time of 5.3 seconds. So 0.08 or 0.8 seconds quicker gives this car, much higher performance. I've also spec'd it with white, and also to give this, an apples to apples comparison with the M Sport exterior package for $57.50. That gives you the front and rear M Sport bumpers. It also gives you the sport seats. It also gives you 20-inch wheels. I've also equipped it with the executive package for $45.50, giving it the head-up display, 4-zone climate, panoramic sunroof, 360 camera, LED headlights with laser sight, and also soft closed door, something you just don't get on the XC90. And if I forgot to mention, the XC90 also has the head-up display. And lastly, for $875, the Harman Kardon sound system, making these cars as close in spec as possible. The grand total of $72,000, so that's a $5,000 delta between the BMW and the Volvo. So we're going to jump into the pros and cons of these cars. Starting off with the pros of the XC90. Obviously, the first pro is it's cheaper, $5,000 cheaper. You also have a larger trunk, so the capacity is larger, but it also has a much more straight up rear windshield, meaning you have more storage above the waistline. The Volvo also has better seats. I mean, this is just universal around, across the industry. Everybody testing Volvos, you can agree on that Volvo have one of the best seats, if not the best seats in the business. This is also just my personal opinion, but it's much reflected by automotive journalists and people out there, is that the XC90 is better looking. At this point, it's a 6-year-old design now, and it just looks as new and fresh and classy as ever. It also has a nicer interior than the BMW X5. The materials are nicer. The design is nicer. It just feels and looks much more special. And it also lastly has a better gauge cluster, in my opinion. The digital gauge cluster with the map view in the middle and the standard, analog gauges within the digital gauge cluster just looks better. So we have the cons. Well, it's an old car at this point. Replacement is due late next year or early 2022. The replacement for the XC90 debuted at the Frankfurt Motor Show in September of 2014, 6 years ago. So it's an old design now. It's due for replacement not very long, in the future. It doesn't have the greatest body control. It's not as dynamic as the BMW, so it does roll and pitch and dive a bit on twisty corners, but it also has great comfort, so that is the trade-off. And also, you get a 4-cylinder engine, meaning you don't get the refinement or the sound or the prestige of a 6-cylinder engine. The X5 Pros, well, it has better driving dynamics while at the same time offering the same comfort level in suspension tuning as the XC90. It just doesn't roll as much. It's much more dynamic, much more sporty than the XC90. It also has a awesome head-up display. So where the Volvo has the superior digital gauge cluster, the head-up display in the BMW is just amazing. It's just much larger, shows much more information, and is one of the best head-up displays in the business. It also has a leather-covered steering wheel airbag cover, which in my opinion, I've bitched about this many times in Volvos, that, every part of their interior is top notch, from getting the leather package for the roof, giving leather covered grab handles and sun visors. Is lacking in that you can't get a leather covered airbag cover. You get that in the BMW, and that's a touch point which you have in front of your eyes at all times and that you touch. So I think that makes the BMW in some ways feel much more luxurious than the XC90. You also get the 6-cylinder performance and refinement, so that's something to consider if you're into that. The cons: it's more expensive, $5,000 more expensive, and also options are more expensive in the BMW. It has a inferior digital gauge cluster because it doesn't have map viewing. It has the gauges that go the opposite way for the tach and the speedometer that people just don't like. I don't like it at all, and people in general just don't appreciate the digital gauge cluster of the BMW. It's also not as special inside. Yes, it has as good as you can get in build quality, but it just doesn't look or feel as special as the XC90. And also, it's not as good looking as the XC90. I think the last generation BMW X5 is better looking than this. It just looks bulbous and unproportional in many ways. I don't much appreciate the way it looks, even when you get it with cool wheels and the appearance package from the M Sport. And lastly, the last con is the BMW stigma. This won't bother a lot of people, but a lot of people won't buy BMW because of the stigma which is attached to the brand. So guys, that was the Volvo XC90 versus the BMW X5. Did I miss any cons or pros? Anything you guys think that I missed in this video? Let me know in the comments down below. And most importantly, which of these two would you choose? Would you go for the XC90, save the $5,000, or would you, do you think that $5,000 is worth that extra performance and that extra 6-cylinder refinement? Let me know in the comments down below. So if you like this video, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always guys, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.